Building theory from and for practice. We need to develop a framework for organizing our learning and knowledge in order to build practice. And there's a simple model that we can use called the knowledge conversion model, which essentially helps us not only create knowledge, but also transfer knowledge between the tacit, the more implicit aspects of it, to more explicit expressions of knowledge, and also from individual perspectives within the organization to organizational levels. And the knowledge conversion model is known as the SECI model. S stands for socialization. This is the process the processes between individuals in terms of sharing and using that acquired knowledge from experience. And the next phase of the model is the externalizing phase. This is where individuals are taking that acquired knowledge, that tacit knowledge, and exposing it within the organization, externalizing it to individuals, to others, so that we begin to build an organizational perspective on that knowledge, and we can start to collaboratively construct and reconstruct that knowledge. And then this leads to another phase of the model, which is known as the combination phase. This is where the individual reflective practitioner is linking the acquired knowledge, the tacit knowledge, with the externalized knowledge, the explicit organizational knowledge which has been created, synthesizing understanding from those two perspectives. And then that leads to the final stage of the model, which is known as the internalization stage. This is where the individual takes both the tacit and the explicit knowledge, and through a process of reflection begins to build new understandings of process and practice in teaching. And we can look at these models, this model diagrammatically. We can see the SECI components within the framework here. Socialization is essentially a process of communication. Communication between individual members of the educational community. Socialization is where tacit knowledge has an opportunity to be externalized. Tacit knowledge is what we acquire over time, what we learn from experience. And it's through communication that we begin to externalize that knowledge. So socialization is an important process first to engage with. The externalization of that knowledge can occur in many different ways. Of course, it can simply be about individual members of the educational community communicating with one another, sharing experiences and ideas. But it can be much more than that. It can be about publishing reflections. What is becoming increasingly common these days is for things like blogs and other social media to be used to aid the reflection process and to support individuals in terms of turning tacit knowledge into explicit knowledge. And this externalization process enables the members of a community to reflect on each other's knowledge and learning, and therefore becomes community property. And it's through this idea of the knowledge becoming community property that we are able to combine the tacit and the explicit aspects of knowledge together. Collaborative creation of learning resources can result from this and is a means for bringing together the tacit and the explicit. It is a way then for whole groups of teachers, for communities of practice, to begin to formulate, to develop norms and visions, values and beliefs around teaching and learning. And once the knowledge has been combined, synthesized, it's possible then for an individual to internalize that knowledge. And this is where the teacher identity begins to develop, where concepts about teaching and learning are not only structured, but are made stronger through this process. So we can see that this model of knowledge building is a very simple but a very structured model that we can follow as reflective practitioners to turn knowledge acquired from experience, to turn the knowledge and understanding, the learning that we acquire from our teaching, into something very powerful in terms of teacher identity by a process of both externalizing that knowledge and then synthesizing that knowledge, tacit and explicit, into something which is shared and owned by the community.